following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello, and welcome to the Box Score Breakdown Show, presented by Hoop Ball. My name is Adrian Benjamins, and I'm joined by Neil Rochelani, and this episode is brought to you by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. Taste the Kona difference. Go and get their delicious coffee at hawaiianisles.com and also on Amazon. Neil, how are you doing, brother?
I am surviving the cold here in Chicago, basically by sleeping, reading books, watching some television, staring at fantasy basketball stats, that sort of thing. Kind of a typical day, actually, in the winter here in Chicago. So how are you? How are you holding up over there?
Holding up okay. Yeah, holding up okay. Weather here is definitely nothing like what you're going through over there, although we do have some rain forecasted, I think, starting tomorrow. But, man, I've never experienced anything like what you were going through. As you said when we were off air, right? Like schools are shut down, people aren't working. I mean, that's just crazy. But it's completely understandable, right? I mean, it's dangerous going out there, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you can just tell like from my windows and the cold coming through. It's just, yeah, it's really cold out there. It's -5 right now. It's supposed to go down to -20 by morning and then start to warm up. When I say warm up, I mean back to 0. So we'll see if that happens. And then by Friday, it's supposed to be in the 20s, which obviously is very bearable. So we'll see if that changes. Looking forward to getting back to my old standby of eating out because, yes, every restaurant, everything's closed. I've been cooking the last 3 meals, which is very odd for me, but I've been surviving. Any news other than my coldness? Any fantasy news?
Nothing that I can think of that really stands out. I do want to talk a little bit more about Anthony Davis, Neil, and the reason is, and we can get more into it when we get over to that game. They did play tonight, but Neil, every single day that goes by, my level of being worried goes up and up and up. I'm telling you, man, the first day was not worried at all. Second day, started to feel worried, and today I'm in panic mode, man. I am a little nervous if you have Anthony Davis. Neil, I told some people on Twitter, hang on to Anthony Davis. I'm not worried. I've flipped, man. I've completely gone the other way. So Brent, friend of the show, Brent on Twitter, who was the first person to ask me, move Anthony Davis if you can. If you can get, as Neil and I talked about on the last show, a first round type talent, I would move Anthony Davis. Do you agree, Neil?
Well, I did that yesterday. Yeah, so I made an offer for Karl Anthony Towns. I got an offer for Kawhi Leonard, which was actually better than Towns on a per game basis. But I just feel like Towns is more reliable down the stretch, and as I mentioned yesterday, a very good proxy for his stats of Davis's. So it was accepted. I think it's definitely a win for me. I'm in first place in that league, so I should be making the playoffs. And then if Davis were to not play, I would be very hard to win it. But with Towns, I think I'm in decent shape. So we'll see how that goes. And then for the other player, I think they were out of the playoffs or maybe right on the cusp. So if they get Davis, a healthy Davis, then they're obviously have a chance to win as well. For me, it just takes care of like you said, with each passing day and him not on the court, it's kind of like LeBron. Like, when is LeBron really going to come back? I know he's playing in practice, and I know he's going to definitely come back. But, I mean, if this team starts to tank, he'll be sitting out a lot. And I think that might be the case with Davis. So I am glad I've got rid of him and got someone who I trust. I would not go much lower, though, than, like you said, late first round. Because then I think you're really giving up too much because Davis is that amazing. And that's only if you're in a situation where, if you're in a situation where you need Davis to play really well in order to win your league, then hold on to him because no one's going to substitute for him. But if you're in a position where you can have a close substitute and still do well, then like I'm in, then maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, the more I think about it, Neil, is why I start to panic. It just doesn't make sense for the Pelicans to play him since he's not going to be there. And there's just no incentive. We know he's not the consistency of health. We know that he's prone to injury. He goes to the locker room more than anyone. If he would get hurt, man, I mean, his trade value would really go down if he suffered a significant injury. The Pelicans right now are not doing well in the standings. They have their draft pick. It makes sense for them to tank if they are going to rebuild. So, one of the things I was clinging on to, Neil, is, well, they want to still sell tickets, right? But, Neil, do the fans even really want to see Anthony Davis? Isn't that kind of painful to see this stud that doesn't want to be there, right? Like, it's like when a significant other breaks up with you, right? You don't want to see them anymore. You just want to move on from them, right? Like, you don't. So I don't know, man. The more I think about it, Neil, the worse it gets in my head. So I do not have any Anthony Davis, but if I did, I would be trying to move him right now.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like they said, aren't they going to play him to sell tickets? Yeah, like I don't think fans are going to want to. I'm not saying they're going to cheer for him, but there's obviously a much bigger difference now cheering for him than before. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic. Now, obviously, Davis loves playing, and he's an incredible player, and he wants to probably be out there, and the team wants him to be out there if they want to win. But we'll see what happens. I think he will be held out more than I'm comfortable with, or at least the potential is too high for that for me to take right now. So I do have him. I have him in 2 leagues, so I have him now just in 1, and so we'll see how that one plays out in the Hoop Ball League. Did not make a move for him there. I thought I'd hold on to him in one place and trade him in another just to see.
All right, man. Well, let's jump into these games. As you said, we got a nice, a lot of exciting games, a nice slate here. I believe it might be your turn to lead us here tonight.
I think it is. And let's start with Charlotte and Boston. Boston dominates 126-94. On the Charlotte side, Kemba Walker led the team, but not a spectacular night by Kemba standards. 21 points, but just 9 of 20 from the field. Just a single rebound, 2 assists, steal block, 2 threes. Lamb had a very quiet night. He's been disappointing. I own him in almost every league. Just 6 points tonight on 2 of 7 shooting. Just 23 minutes. I mean, it was a blowout, so the fourth quarter, a lot of the starters not play, including Batum, had a decent night in 27 minutes. He's starting to creep back in, as we've talked about. 13 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Marvin Williams very quiet as well. Really no one on the Charlotte side did all that well. None of the starters did that well. Off the bench, Malik Monk got 26 minutes. Bridges 22. Monk was able to put up 16 points, but I think this is just a function of the little blowout. Nothing really here changes me. I think Charlotte, I thought this might be a playoff team. Maybe they're going to trade Walker as well and go into full tank mode too. We'll see what they're going to do at the trade deadline or before. Not a great fantasy night from their team, though. Thoughts on the Hornets?
Yeah, really like what you said there. Really interested to see what this team does at the trade deadline. They've kind of flip-flopped when Walker started the season hot. They kind of made this statement that, hey, we're not going to move Walker. He's playing really well. Let's see if we can try to win, build around him. But now, Charlotte's sitting in the 8th seed right now, just hanging on to that last playoff spot. So curious to see what they do at the trade deadline, if they just stand pat, or if they try to add some pieces to improve their roster. Do they move Walker and just go into full rebuild mode? It's like there's many different paths that this team can go down, and I'm intrigued to see where they go. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to jump over on the Celtics. No Kyrie Irving again tonight, and that means Terry Rozier gets the start. When he starts, man, he plays well. Would love to see this guy in a starting PG role somewhere, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But 17 points, 3 steals, 10 assists, 5 boards, 3 threes on 5 of 10 shooting from the field, 4 of 4 from the line. Marcus Morris doing his thing, which is providing some solid value. 15 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds, 1 3 on 6 of 11 shooting from the field, 2 of 2 from the line. Jason Tatum, Neil, this guy's really sneaky, man. In 9 category leagues on the season, he's somehow sitting in as third round value, player number 31. If you would have asked me, I would have never have guessed off the top of my head he's nowhere near that high. I would have guessed he's like maybe in the 60 range or something like that. So really interesting, man. This guy has quietly been producing in 9 category leagues. 20 points, 1 block, 1 assist, 5 rebounds, 2 threes on 9 of 15 shooting for Tatum. Al Horford with a decent game here. Actually, pretty solid game, mostly because I love these defensive stats. 2 steals, 2 blocks, 14 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds on an efficient 7 of 9 shooting from the field. It's a great game from him. Jaylen Brown is flashing that upside we saw last year. 24 points, 1 steal, 2 assists, 10 rebounds, 2 threes on an efficient 10 of 18 shooting from the field, 2 of 2 from the line. Gordon Hayward with a pretty decent game here. 12 points in limited minutes. He played 24 off the bench. He also added a block, 2 steals, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 3 on 5 of 10 shooting. Not too much else to talk about. If you have Kyrie Irving, I hope he doesn't miss too much more time. I think he was questionable or was likely coming into this one, so I'm kind of surprised that he sat in this one. Neil, what do you think of the Celtics?
Yeah, Terry Rozier, like you said, this whole Anthony Davis thing kind of screws up his being moved because of Boston may wait to the summertime before they do anything if they can try to get Anthony Davis. But I'm still holding on him in one league to see if he does get moved by the deadline. And if he does, then I think he becomes very valuable. So I have him on my bench in one league. Other than that, like you said, Brown had a very good night off the bench. Tatum's been consistently good. He's much lower in 8 cat leagues because of the turnovers, but he has been consistently playing. He's played almost every game this season. And especially when Kyrie's out, he tends to produce a lot better. But like what you talked about, it's hard to say on a night-to-night basis who's going to do well. If Rozier's starting, then I would start him more often than not. Other than that, it's still hard for me to trust Boston players. All right, the second game of the evening I have is Chicago-Miami. This surprised me. Chicago off a back-to-back goes down to Miami, wins 105-89. Starters and Zach LaVine did not play tonight either. Looks like his injury issue was an ankle sprain. He's clearly unhappy in Chicago. We'll see if they do anything at the trade deadline. Markkanen had the best line, 14 points, 13 rebounds, although only shot 4 of 15 from the field. Selden Jr., I should probably say, had a very good line as far as starters. 20 points for him, 8 assists, 1 steal. I think this is just an anomaly. I would not read too much into it unless things really shuffle here in Chicago. Chris Dunn, a solid night, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists on 6 of 14 from the field. Bobby Portis, you were right about him. He's back tonight. 26 points off the bench. Great night for him. 10 of 17 from the field. Had a block as well. 2 3-pointers. 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Jabari Parker, who I thought might get a little run after yesterday's performance tonight, just 14 minutes did not score. So he is hard to trust, as I say. Not really trusting anyone here. Selden Jr., I guess on a nightly basis in DFS, you could throw him in there. But I don't trust him. I expect LaVine to be back next game. So no changes from me until we see perhaps a move to the trade deadline. What are your thoughts on the Bulls?
Neil, read a report on Twitter that if Lonzo Ball gets traded, he'd love a third team to get involved, and 2 spots he'd love to end up at is the Chicago Bulls or the New York Knicks. How would you feel about Lonzo Ball being in Chicago? Would you welcome LeVar Ball to the Windy City?
Yeah, well, I do like. Sorry, I actually do like Lonzo. I think, his shooting is just the only thing that is just. He's shooting like under 50% from the free throw line. That is just insane. It's got to be something mental. I think his talent is still there. I'm not willing to give up on him. I think he still could be a very good player in this league. So yeah, if he comes here, it'd be great. Kind of hurt my Chris Dunn numbers though, unfortunately for this season. But yeah, I think he's someone who has potential to be a good player in the NBA. So I would welcome it. And then the off-court distraction, that'll come with it, I guess, as well.
Now, just a lot of chatter on Twitter. Very, very, I would say, unlikely that Lonzo Ball ends up in New York or Chicago, but just some interesting, the idea of it is very intriguing. And most of my friends who are Chicago Bulls fans are not fan of Lonzo Ball. So I don't know, man. Anyways, interesting stuff. Portis looks good. Dunn, I like what Dunn did tonight. Lauri Markkanen is a stud. So we kind of know who the guys are here. Really curious to see what happens to this team down the stretch after the All-Star break, because we know they are definitely tanking for Zion. So, Neil, really curious to see if somebody like Selden or I'm trying to think who else can maybe get some value, like maybe Robin Lopez, if they do, just go outrageous into the tank mode. So I don't know, man. Keep an eye on the Chicago Bulls. All right, gonna jump over to the Miami Heat. Gonna start with Josh Richardson, who, I feel like after the hot start, he has been pretty disappointing. And a night like tonight is why. Not shooting well, 4 of 15 from the field in 38 big minutes, 12 points, a steal, a block, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. I just expect more from this guy. I thought we were going to see him just explode this season, and it hasn't happened the way that I thought. Justice Winslow, 14 points, 2 steals, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 threes on 6 of 17 shooting from the field. We know field goal percentage is not his strong suit, but trickling in some nice stats in these other categories, though. So pretty decent line from him. Neil, I'm starting to get intrigued by Wayne Ellington, man. I'm in some deep 14-team leagues where I could use some threes and some points, and he's usually he can provide that, man. 13 points tonight, 2 steals and assists, 4 rebounds. He took 11 threes tonight. Now, he only made 3 of them, but just the fact that he's getting over 30 minutes a game and he is taking 11 threes, and I don't know, man. I might make a move on this guy because I'm desperate for threes in at least one of my leagues. James Johnson, not a great game from him. Only 18 minutes. Did have 3 fouls, 2 points, a steal, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. Whiteside, definite disappointing game from him. He definitely probably saw some foul trouble in this one. 4 fouls in just 15 minutes for 8 points, 9 rebounds. He did have a block on 3 of 6 shooting. Off the bench, they got some nice production from Adebayo, who had 13 points, 2 assists, 7 rebounds. Tyler Johnson, who was iffy coming into this one, played 28 minutes, took 12 shots, made 5 of them for 15 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. You probably don't own Tyler Johnson unless you're in a really deep league. But I am curious what the Miami Heat is going to do with the trade deadline. Could someone like Tyler Johnson or Wayne Ellington or Kelly Olynyk, can one of these guys become relevant if they move some of this overload that they have? Neil, what are your thoughts here on the Miami Heat?
I think the rumors are Wayne Ellington's being showcased for a trade. We'll see if that happens at the deadline. Like you said, he is someone who is just cranking out the 3-point attempts and got 2 steals as well. So his percentages this year, he's 37% from the field. So be very, very careful if you do pick him up. He could really kill you in that category if it's a roto league. I just don't trust the Heat, as we've talked about. Winslow, I mean, despite putting up night after night decent numbers, he's kind of like Josh Jackson or Brandon Ingram. His categories are so, percentages are so bad that takes his overall volume down. And like you, I'm waiting to see what happens at the trade deadline to see if there are any players that emerge as sort of like gaining more traction. But right now, I was big on Josh Richardson too. He's down to 66 overall in 8-cat leagues. I thought for sure he'd be in the top 50. So very surprised by this performance. In the Heat overall, I thought they would be a playoff team, and it's looking like they're not. When you lose at home to Chicago by 16 points, that's a bad sign. All right, next game I've got here, Dallas at New York. Start with on Dallas. They win 114-90 very comfortably. I'm actually going to start with Dennis Smith Jr. He triple-doubles tonight in the Garden, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists. Great night from him. Shot 5 of 12, so not too bad. And also 3 of 3 from the free throw line. Doncic, I'm just getting used to it now, Adrian. It doesn't surprise me anymore. 16 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. This young man, if I can even call him a man, he's 19 years old. 2 3-pointers is just amazing. DeAndre Jordan, quiet night. Barnes, good scoring night, 19 points. Wesley Matthews, 17 points. Both those players take a lot of threes, do good in points. They don't do the steals, though. So if you need 3 and D, those two guys, I'm staying away from them. Finney Smith, not that good off the bench. And then Dirk, maybe because it's his last game in the Garden, 12 minutes tonight, 14 points, took 7 attempts. So maybe a goodbye to New York. Seeing there, nothing I'm going to take away from this game. Do you have any thoughts on the Mavericks?
Oh, I got some thoughts on Luka Doncic, Neil. And man, this guy is so scary, Neil, because he looks so comfortable out there. Like, if you watched him for the first time, if you were at the Garden and you had no idea he was a rookie, you would think that he's a veteran because he looks so comfortable and so calm. And it's scary, Neil, to think what he's going to look like in 3 or 4 years from now. When the game's when it's even easier for him and it slows down for him even more. Like, how good is this guy going to be, man? I can't wait. I'm so excited. Dennis Smith Jr., really happy to see this guy. I feel like maybe that hiatus he had actually did him some good because I feel like he's been rolling ever since he's been back. Now, 5 turnovers tonight, and we know field goal percentage is not his strong suit, but a nice triple-double here. He looks good. I kept him in some deep leagues. I think I dropped him in the Hoopball Staff League, and I'm regretting it. So congrats if you held on to Dennis Smith Jr. I hope he can keep this up for the remainder of the season. All right, going to jump over to the New York Knicks, which, man, from night to night, you just have no idea what is going on. And let me tell you what I mean. Noah Vonleh, who has been very safe. Did this guy get hurt tonight? No, I'm not seeing any injury, man. 14 minutes. He wasn't in any foul trouble. This is aggravating. I have Vonleh in a bunch of leagues. I had him in my lineup in a bunch of leagues. Only 2 points, a steal, an assist, 5 rebounds. Just tough to know night to night what this Knicks team is going to do. Hardaway Jr. was disappointing tonight. 6 points, 1 steal, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He only shot 2 of 11 in 28 minutes. Kevin Knox was maybe the one bright spot here. And, even he didn't have an outstanding game. Only shot 6 of 16 for 17 points, 1 steal, 1 assist, 5 rebounds. He did have a 3 and shot 4 of 5 from the line. Trey Burke is getting the start and seeing some heavy minutes because Moutier is out. Ntilikina is out. So Burke put up a nice game of 16 points, 2 steals, 1 block, 3 assists. He had 1 3 and shot 7 of 14 from the field. Hazonia was nice, but I would not I would not make a move on him. I would not trust that he would do this again in the next one, but he looked good in this one. 13 points, 2 steals, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, 4 of 8 from the field. He even added a 3. Robinson didn't do much, only 4 points in 24 minutes. Dotson, who was good a few nights ago, only 5 points in 20 minutes. Alonzo Trier, I picked this guy up last week. Now I dropped him. 11 points, 2 assists, 1 steal in 19 minutes. Oh, Cantor, the return of Enes Kanter, who has not played for some time. Nice to see him play. He only got 9 minutes, though, for 5 points. I'm curious, is he now back in this? Is he going to see more minutes in the rotation? Or, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of this team, Neil. What do you think of the Knicks?
Yeah, that's basically my thoughts as well. I trusted Hardaway. I trusted Vonleh. Tonight they just got yanked and didn't really perform. And that's just the case with Fizdale at the coaching. As a coach, I should say. I guess Burke. I would stream Burke though, as long as Ntilikina's out and Moutier's out. I think Burke can be streamed. Not a great night tonight, but a decent night. I'm still going to trust Hardaway and Vonleh. They've done it too much this season for me to just all of a sudden throw them away. Knox in the points league, I think, can be owned. Other than that, I don't. I'm not looking at anyone else right now. Maybe that'll change with the trade deadline, but even still, I think they're going to be creatively tanking through the rest of the season, so their lineups could be all over the place. Denver. Okay, can I move on, or do you want anything else to say on the Knicks?
Nope.
All right. Denver 105, New Orleans 99. Denver gets the win here on the road. Start with Nikola Jokic. Triple doubles as well. Like Dennis Smith Jr., 20 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. Just a monster night. 3 steals, 2 blocks. My second favorite fantasy player after Anthony Davis. I feel like I betrayed Davis now. I feel really bad for trading him. Anyway, Monte Morris, when he gets the start, he tends to produce. Tonight, no different. Did not see this coming, though. 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Just a great night from him. Will Barton only played 8 minutes. Let's see if he did have 3 personal fouls. I don't know if he doesn't look like I'm seeing any injury news on him, so I don't see anything there that would have kept him out aside from those fouls early on. If that happened, Paul Millsap had a solid game. He's kind of down outside the one. He's 98. I was reading the wrong player on a per game basis, so he has been disappointing this year. This team, not really trusting anyone else. Gary Harris had a very quiet night. I do like him. He's sitting at 127. I think he's a buy low opportunity if you can get him. This Nuggets team is going to be really good down the stretch. I think Gary Harris is just coming back from his injury and will find his footing. So if his owner is frustrated, maybe you can get him for a little bit under market. And that's all I got on the Nuggets. What are your thoughts?
Love your take on Monte Morris. I think while Jamal Murray is out, he looks like a solid, safe streamer. And then I think, I'm not sure as soon as Murray gets back if he'll still be relevant or if he'll completely fall off. And really interesting Denver Nuggets team. They got so many weapons. And all right, that's all I got. I'm jumping over to the Pelicans. Neil, we've talked a lot about Anthony Davis. Okafor, who's been playing really solid, was just okay in this one. 15 points, 1 steal, 1 block, 8 rebounds, 7 of 15 from the field. Make sure that this guy's owned. If for some reason we don't see Anthony Davis back for the Pelicans, and the Pelicans decide to go into the full tank mode, which would make sense, Okafor feels like he is locked and loaded. So likely has already been picked up everywhere, but I would just double check in standard, more shallower standard leagues that he's not sitting there. Drew Holiday with 22 points, a steal, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 threes, 7 of 13 from the field, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. He had an outstanding game. Miller, Neil, do we got to make a move on this guy? I feel like we talked about him in the last one, showing up again in this one. Now, didn't shoot it great, but I'm very encouraged by the high minutes, the high usage, took a lot of shots, 15 points, 2 steals, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. I'm writing this guy down on my paper right now. And when the show's over, I might check to see if he's available in some deep leagues. Now, we are missing Peyton. We are missing Randall. We are missing Mirotic. So it could just be a short-term stream here and might not even be worth a stream in standard leagues, but it's definitely got my attention. Frank Jackson has been really intriguing. It's when I heard he was getting moved in the starting lineup, but hasn't really blown me away. But I'm still going to watch this guy. 9 points, 6 rebounds, 1 3 on 4 of 9 shooting. Hill only getting 18 minutes in a start for 2 points. Off the bench, a nice game from Williams, who had 21 points, 2 blocks, 3 assists, and 8 rebounds, 5 threes tonight. Shot 8 of 14 from the field. That's a pretty good game from him. Other than that, man, not much going on here. Neil, lots of buzz that guys like, besides Davis, guys like Randall and Mirotic could be on the block as well. They could sell some of these veteran guys off. What are your thoughts on the Pelicans?
Yeah, I'm not going to make a move on any of these guys until the trade deadline to see if they do anything. They could be, like you said, a fire sale on everybody and complete rebuild mode. And then guys like Darius Miller become attractive, and Frank Jackson, and even Kenrich Williams. I don't know if you saw this off the bench. He played 38 minutes and put up a good line. Maybe he starts to get some usage on a regular basis. So I'm just holding tight. If you had to pick one now and you wanted to sort of get ahead of it and just stash somebody, I think Darius Miller probably is the best one, although he's only shooting 40% on the year, so that scares me. But he seems to contribute across the board, so I do like that about him. Yeah, I still feel bad for trading Anthony Davis now. Anyway, Memphis at Minnesota. Minnesota gets the win here in overtime, 99-97. Start with the Memphis side. They're two maybe soon to be gone stalwarts. Marc Gasol, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. And a three-pointer. Mike Conley, 26 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Had a great night for him. He had 2 steals and 3 three-pointers. So what I'm taking away from this, Jaren Jackson Jr. fouled out after 22 minutes. Kind of a quiet game from him. Kyle Anderson is back, playing decently, 14 and 7. Did have a block. Justin Holiday, I was really worried that he just wasn't a fit there. He went 0 for 10 shooting tonight, and so I am so glad I have let go of him. I cannot handle this. He was not great with the Bulls, and it's just gotten worse in terms of his shooting since coming to Memphis. And that's really it. I hate to be a broken record, but this team is looking like they're going to make moves at the trade deadline, so I got to wait and see. There really isn't anyone that jumps out, though, on this team. So let's see. Let's see. Maybe there won't only be fantasy value after the trade deadline, but perhaps there will be. So not much there for me. Just looking at Justin Holiday and shaking my head. So what are your thoughts on Memphis?
I am super happy that Kyle Anderson is back, and he looks pretty good, man. I thought it was going to take him some time to shake that rust off and just kind of work his way back from that injury he had. He looks pretty solid, man. Already getting big minutes, already in the starting lineup. I played Kyle Anderson in a bunch of leagues tonight, and I feel great about it. So make sure that he's, number one, picked up and that he's locked up in your lineup. Jaren Jackson Jr., man. Neil, I feel like we haven't got like a big line from him in a while, right? Like he hasn't had that like blowout, knockout type night in some time. Fouled out of this one, 6 fouls in just 22 minutes. And man, I really want him to explode at the end of this season or for the rest of this season. Maybe Gasol and Conley, if they get moved, it would open up more usage for JJJ. But as of right now, man, he's not the mega stud that I was hoping he would be. The potential is there. Everything is there. I'm not saying he's not going to be that guy, but right now he's just not putting up those gaudy stats that I expected him to. And that's all I got, Neil. I'm going to jump over on the Minnesota Timberwolves side. And another name I got to write down on my pad as a possible pickup, Bayless. Look, Jones is out. Rose is out. Teague is out. Somebody needs to play point guard. Right now, it's Jared Bayless. We've seen this guy have put up fantasy production on other teams in the past, and he's doing it right now. 19 points, 12 assists with 7 rebounds, 2 steals. He shot 8 of 19 from the field, 1 3, 2 of 4 from the line. I don't know how long these point guards are going to be out for Minnesota. I'm going to take a look at it as soon as the show's over, but I think Bayless is worth a short-term add, at least while these guys are out. He's locked into big minutes, played 43 minutes tonight. So maybe go get Bayless. Wiggins with 12 points, a steal, a block, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 3. Shooting wasn't great. We know this. He can do this once in a while. 4 of 19 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line. Towns, Neil, your new boy. You're cheating on Anthony Davis with Karl Towns, man. 16 points from him. No defensive stats, which is a little disappointing. 2 assists, 10 rebounds, 7 of 17 from the field, 0 of 6 from three-point range. Look, not his greatest game, but, man, I love Karl Anthony Towns. I think after the All-Star break, he's going to come back rejuvenated and fresh, and he's going to finish this season strong. So, Neil, great trade by you, man. I love the deal that you made. Josh Okogie starting, but I don't think we can trust this guy tonight, showing why. Likely got into some foul trouble tonight. 4 fouls in 20 minutes, only put up 5 points, 2 steals, 2 rebounds. I've said it before, love this guy for dynasty leagues. I think in 2 years from now, he's going to be like Trevor Ariza type 3-and-D guy. But this year, his rookie year, I don't think it's going to happen right now. Off the bench, Tolliver with 10, Dang with 10. Saric, man, I completely forgot about this guy, Neil. 8 points in 18 minutes. Neil, we're missing so many guys. I already talked about the point guards. Covington as well. He doesn't even have a return date, I don't think. Brutal for the Timberwolves, missing all these guys. What do you think of the Wolves?
Yeah, I don't think Covington will come back till after the All-Star break. He could come back before then, but I think they'll just sit him out. Bayless, yeah, his percentages aren't great, but his counting stats are so good. I think you're right. I think he's worth streaming. Absolutely. While Rose and Teague are out, they're both questionable, but this has been a while now, so it might continue. Not much else here. Okogie, like you said, I think will be good in future years, or has the potential to be good in future years. Saric and Gibson, even in the depleted roster, don't put up numbers. So no changes here except Bayless, I think, can be streamed. All right, the last game that I've got, well, at least the last game that's completed, Indiana, Washington. Washington wins 107-89. Indiana, as we know, has lost their captain there. Oladipo is out for the season. Tonight they were sort of buoyed by a lot of different players. It was a blowout game, so a lot of guys got minutes in the 20s. No one really had a stellar night. Thaddeus Young had a solid night, 13, 7, and 5 with a block and a three-pointer. Shot 5 of 8 from the field. Miles Turner, I thought he might have a good matchup tonight against this Wizards team. Not a great front court there. 9 points just for Miles Turner, though. 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Did not block a shot tonight. Edmund Sumner, who I'm still trying to figure out who he is, played 22 minutes in a starting role. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. So not a bad night for him. Collison, very disappointing. Just 3 points on 1 of 7 shooting. All around, it was just a game where Indiana hit into a or they just got crushed. So Sabonis off the bench played 23 minutes, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Not much to speak of. Likewise for the rest of this team. So one of these games you kind of throw away, unfortunately, if you own Indiana and you're in a games cap. All your players sort of had a bad night. Any thoughts on the Pacers?
No, not a lot to add from me. I miss you, Victor Oladipo, and I am a little disappointed with Sabonis. Neil, I got so many guys that disappointed me tonight with Von Lay and JJJ and Sabonis. I kind of had a bummer night in fantasy tonight. So hoping we see Sabonis bounce back, and very interesting. All right, going to move over to the Wizards, and got to start with Bradley Beal. 25 points, a steal, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 threes on 9 of 15 shooting from the field. A perfect 5 of 5 from the line, doing his thing. Trevor Ariza's been pretty solid. Did see some foul trouble tonight. Had 4 fouls in 23 minutes. 12 points, though. 2 steals and assists, 2 rebounds, 2 threes on 4 of 9 shooting, 2 of 4 from the line. What happened to Satoransky tonight? 1 of 2 from the field for 3 points, 1 steal, 6 assists, 2 rebounds. He's been much better than this. I would just shake this off. Just hopefully it was just a bad night for him. Hopefully he'll bounce back in the next one. Thomas Bryant with 6 points, a block, an assist, 3 rebounds in just 19 minutes. Neil, this is the promise. This is the problem with Thomas Bryant, is for whatever reason, he has nights like tonight's where he just gets low minutes and he puts up a low-end line. Tonight, we could see a decent double-double with some blocks in the next one, but every once in a while he does this, which is why I'm not super high on him. I definitely think he needs to be owned, but I just hate that he has nights like tonight. Neil, I got all excited when Otto Porter, it was announced he was going to start, and then got hurt in this one, man. It was looks like a sprained left toe in the third. I don't think he returned. He only played 16 minutes. We've seen him miss some time already this season, Neil. I'm a little worried. I mean, I'm not saying it's long-term or anything. Hopefully it's just a game or two. But still, man, I was just like, oh, finally we get Otto Porter in the starting lineup. He's finally back, and then boom, he's gone. 3 points, 2 steals, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. Look, Neil, you and I, we always talk about Jeff Green. Tonight, he could be the biggest winner if Otto Porter is going to miss any time. Tonight, he had a great game. 23 points, 2 blocks, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 threes. He shot 8 of 16 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line, played 29 minutes. I think he will move back into that starting lineup if Otto Porter is going to miss any time. They got some nice games from Randall had 13 points. Decker had 8 points. Don't trust any of these guys, though. Neil, what are your thoughts on the Washington Wizards?
Yeah, it's too bad about Porter. I did see the change in the starting lineup and thought he might be good for him stat-wise. Unfortunately, the injury, if it is going to be anything that's more than just tonight, I think Jeff Green is worth streaming again. He's been shooting really well this year. Jeff Green usually doesn't shoot this well. He's 48% from the field, almost 90% from the free throw line. So those 2 categories have been solid for him. He doesn't get a lot of defensive stats, but he tends to score. And when you have a guy who can score and shoot that well, it's great to have on your team. So if Porter is out for any time, I would recommend streaming Green. Other than that, like you said, yeah, I own Bryant. He is frustrating. I like him mainly because I expect a double-double with good percentages, and not even that tonight. Did not play him tonight, so that worked out, but I am going to count on him down the stretch. We'll see if it tends to – he never gets more than like mid-20 minutes. So if it's when it's in the teens, it's really frustrating, as you can tell in my voice. That's all I really got for Washington. Bradley Beal continues to be a stud. So glad no one wanted to trade me. I wanted to get rid of him at the beginning of the season. I was really nervous about this team falling apart this year. John Wall just taking this down. And of course, it's worked out completely differently. Sometimes the best moves are those that you don't make. All
Neil,
right. Yes.
in 9 category leagues, Bradley Beal is on the cusp of first round value. He's player number 13 in 9 category leagues. That's outstanding. Not a fluke, man. This guy's been doing it all season. Congratulations, Neil, for drafting Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I don't think that. Did you do DFS tonight? Tonight is our DFS contest. Did you happen to do
How did you do?
I'm not doing well, Adrian. I will not lie to you. I won this one, so I'm going to keep saying that because I want people to realize that miracles can happen. But
who is your big miss? Who is your big miss?
Oh gosh, let's see. I'm pulling up right now. I'm 85th out of 100. I still have a few guys going, so I'll climb up a little bit maybe.
Who was your biggest disappointment?
Jabari Parker.
Yeah. And you probably got a great price on him, I'm sure.
I don't know what it wasn't. Yeah, 4,100, I guess, which is pretty low. I did get Bayless right. That's about it.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's about it.
Nice.
Not
Which
much else.
studs? Who were your studs that you played? Your most expensive players?
Gasol, I played. John Collins. So he's still going as of this recording. Kemba Walker, I played. All those 2 guys. 2 out of 3 disappointed. I even went with Hardaway, thinking he'd have a good night against Dallas. Anyway, it was a rough one. I had that one victory. Since then, I have not. I've only cashed that one time, so I am still talking about having a rough night. My DFS night was just atrocious. So, anyway, any last thoughts from you before I let you go?
Oh man, I'm just on overload with all this Anthony Davis talk, man. It's everywhere. It's on every podcast. It's on a Sports Center, every channel. Even non-basketball shows are talking about Anthony Davis. It's all
really?
over the place.
Where else have you seen him?
Man, I listen to podcasts with like comedians and stuff like that, and they're talking about Anthony Davis. Even shows that aren't NBA shows on ESPN, like they talk about this Anthony Davis thing. So, man, and you know what? I don't think we're going to get any resolution on the Anthony Davis trade. I think there's already a lot of buzz coming from the Pelicans that they really don't have any desire to move him at the trade deadline to the Lakers because, they got more options if they wait. So anyways, just a little tired of it. But other than that, man, I'm doing good. Neil, you stay safe, man. Stay warm. Stay safe. I hope the weather gets better over there. Any closing thoughts before I get out of here?
Yeah, just count your blessings that you can go outside and not get frostbitten. So that's nice.
Yeah, we take that. We definitely take that for granted here in California. So we definitely don't. We aren't thankful enough about the great weather that we have over here. So thank you for reminding me.
All right, man. Tomorrow night we'll be back on. We got actually a 6-game slate tomorrow.
It's been. You know what? It's been really consistent all week, right? All right, you guys, I'm going to get out of here. Neil will be back for 2 more, but I'm sorry I can't be here for those last 2. Thank you guys so much for listening and supporting the show. Hit us up on Twitter. You can find Neil at Ball with Neil. I'm at Adrian Benjamins. We'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, on to the last 2 games of the evening. Sacramento takes down Atlanta 135-113. On the Atlanta side, statistically tonight, Trae Young continues to look solid. 23 points. He had 8 assists. He shot positively. 7 of 12 from the field, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 4 3-pointers on 9 attempts and a steal. He is getting better as the season goes on. Other than the line tonight, John Collins kind of quiet. I thought he might have a good night here. Just 14 points, 7 rebounds, a shot 5 of 15. Usually he's above 50%. Missed all his 3-point attempts, had a block. So very quiet night from him. Same with Atlanta. And other teammates in general, Bembry, Deadman, poor games. Herder is back, but just put up 11 points on 9 attempts. Taurean Prince came off the bench. He's up to 26 minutes if you're looking to get him in there at some point or tracking his progress. Not much else. Bazemore is back. Played 19 minutes. He is expected to be traded at the trade deadline. That's at least the conventional wisdom. We'll see if that holds. Tonight, not much. Just 9 points, a rebound, and assist. Jeremy Lin played 19 minutes. Also potential to be traded. Alex Len, someone who may emerge after the trade deadline as a fantasy asset. Keeping a close eye on him tonight. 18 minutes, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 6 of 10 shooting. And he did chuck up 4 3-pointers and made one of them. So no real news on Atlanta, except for that Trae Young is getting more efficient and is looking better and better as the season goes on. On the Sacramento side, let's see. Big games from Buddy Hield at 18 points on 6 of 11 shooting. Actually, Darren Fox is pretty quiet. Just played 22 minutes. Did not need him. Apparently, to get a big win, 9 points on 10 shots, so very inefficient. Was able to get a block and 7 assists. Off the bench, Bogdan Bogdanovic had one of his very quality games, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, except for the shooting, 5 of 14 from the field. Took 10 3-pointers, made 3 of them, and had a steal as well. Bagley double-double. This is what we all expect, or I should say we expect her on the show as the season progresses. 28 minutes, 17 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 of 14 shooting. Struggles a bit from the line, 3 of 6 tonight. Took 3-pointers, missed them all, did have a steal. So Bagley probably already been scooped up everywhere. I think is in for a decent last third of the season. Harry Giles, nice game off the bench. Got a lot of run because of the one-sidedness of the game. 21 minutes for him. He put up 20 points on 12 shots. I think, he came out when he was drafted. He got drafted late because of his injury. If he wasn't injured, there were talks that he may have been the 1 or 2 or 3 person drafted in his class. So there is potential for him to be a very good basketball player. We'll see what his role is going to be with the Kings in future seasons. Maybe someone to stash in dynasty leagues, if that is something you can do, and he's still out there. No other changes from the Kings here. Bielitsa had a decent night, but I still am fading him. Cauley Stein, not a great night. Just 9 points, just 5 rebounds, and just 3 attempts. Made all of the shots, though. All right, the last game, I believe, is just about wrapping up. If it's not, no, it has wrapped up. Utah gets crushed here in Portland, 132-105. On the Utah side, another one-sided game, so a lot of players played in the mid-20s. In terms of minutes, Donovan Mitchell, 8 of 16 from the field, 22 points. Not a whole lot else, though. 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Did have 2 steals and a 3-pointer. Shot 5 of 6 from the line. Ricky Rubio with a decent line. 12 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists. Unfortunately, his shooting, he has been struggling. 4 of 14 tonight. Did have 2 3-pointers and 2 steals, continuing with those defensive stats. Joe Ingles, kind of a consistent line for him. Only took 5 shots, but got up to 14 points. 2 rebounds, 5 assists. Made all his free throws, which is good to see. He's been struggling this year. Had 2 3-pointers. No defensive stats this evening. Dirk Favors pretty quiet in 24 minutes. Gobert, 15-9. Continues to be the anchor on the defensive side. 2 blocks to go with those 9 rebounds. Crowder gets 25 minutes. Doesn't do much. Grayson Allen, 17 minutes. Royce O'Neal back to the bench, 21 minutes. Not looking to pick up anyone else here. I don't think they're going to make a trade deadline move. So Favors, I think, is a low-end starter at best. Crowder, maybe a streamable option. For 3 and D tonight, 2 3-pointers, no defensive stats. Used to be such a great defensive player in terms of steals. Just hasn't happened this season. Could be the system they're running out there. Or it could be, just he's getting older. On the Portland side, a great night for Lillard. Shot very well. 12 of 21 from the field, 9 of 9 from the free throw line, 3 3-pointers. Had a phenomenal night, 36 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds very close to that triple-double, 3 3-pointers, 2 steals. McCollum as well shot very efficiently, 12 of 17 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line for 30 points, 3 rebounds and assists. And a steal, good to see him having a game. If you drafted him, and he's been a bit of a disappointment this year, Myers Leonard gets a start for the injured Jusuf Nurkic. Myers Leonard, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Very efficient, 6 of 7 from the field, 4 3-pointers. Mo Harkless, one guy I've been watching, may have to let him go. It's just not happening. 21 minutes tonight, just 6 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. Aminu, 22 minutes, just 2 points. 0 for 3 from the field. So stealing a block. He is just has some of these nights that are just so poor that I just cannot entertain the idea of picking him up. I thought Harkless would be a better fantasy asset once he came back. But officially it is Aminu. Aminu has been 115 on a per-game basis in 8 category leagues, while Harkless is outside of 200 at 202. So no need, like I said, to continue watching him. Due to the blowout, Lehman got 27 minutes. Zach Collins, 23 minutes. We'll see what his future holds. He had obviously some great lines earlier in the season that have since evaporated. Seth Curry plays 22 minutes and Turner 19. I think Jusuf is only out for just this game. It's right knee soreness. Expected to come back on the 5th. So he's going to be out for about a week, it looks like. I would consider Myers Leonard starting him. Tonight he shot very efficiently, including 4 or 5 from three-point land. That may not stick, but I do think he could get mid to high 20 minutes in a close game. So he could be in store for like 14 points, 6 rebounds, maybe a couple assists, a couple 3-pointers, and then he might be able to get a defensive stat or 2. Not a great streamer, but not a bad one either. So that is a potential option, probably like around 100th value if I had to value that. Tonight it was definitely higher because he shot well. And that's about it for tonight's show. Thanks for listening. Again, we're sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. You can find their products at hawaiianisles.com or on amazon.com. And we'll be back tomorrow.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.